something new. I'm always trying something new. So we're hopefully live on three platforms. Let me see if everything is working properly. Let me see if the sound is working properly and everything is working fine. Okay, we're good on Facebook. Let me just check. Oh, we're good on TikTok. Let me just check. Okay. Seems like we're good on that side too. Just let me know, guys, if you can hear me, if you can hear me. Eta Elvis Walikos. You missed out on the show earlier, man. Kidding kilwana mo. Kilwana le batho. Thank you guys so much for the confirmation there. Okay, I'm going to start the show. Welcome everyone to the Overthinking Football Show. I'm your host, George Mokwena. I do this every Monday to Friday, 12:30 in the afternoon. And then also Monday to Wednesday, we have a night shift at 8 p.m. If you do miss out on any of the shows, or you missed out on the one you're watching now and you want to see what we're saying, they are available in full on Facebook and on YouTube, and you'll be able to hear what myself and the panels that I put together speak about regarding this football game that we love. If you also check on Facebook and on YouTube, there's other content that is really cool that you'll find there. As well, if you want to add your voice to the show, you're listening live on Facebook and you're wondering how do you speak on the show? How do you add your voice? If you're watching on YouTube and you're wondering, just know that you have to join me on TikTok when I'm live. When I say that it's open, at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a multi-guest button appear. Click on the multi-guest button and request. But remember, guys, that you do need to be following me in order to make use of that function. So I just want to see if we're good on Facebook. It seems like we are fine on YouTube. We're live on YouTube too, guys. We're adding. Okay, so as you know, when we have these games, these big games that happen over the weekend, how I like to start the show is for us to listen, to the coaches, hear what they had to say, and what they think. So let me just get that right. And let's listen to what Coach Barker had to say. Shout out Disky fans for the videos and for making them available
just to give
on
us
YouTube.
Thoughts on the match. Coach, maybe opening question will just be a summary of the 90 minutes.
Obviously, I thought we started the game really well. I thought our sort of plan and structure that we had set out to achieve, I think frustrated Pirates. They weren't able to really play through and Glondlaw or Baloni, as well as keeping players like, Seleng and Maswinganyu quiet. I think we applied a lot of good pressure, and then on transition, and sometimes the early ball over the top caused them problems. So I thought the first half was really solid, good performance. We probably created far more chances in the first half than we did second half. A couple of little bit of unluckiness in the first half, not to maybe sneak a second goal. But well pleased with the performance going into half-time at 1-0. I thought we fully deserved it. Second half, a little bit obviously, the game plan was always to try and stay in the game for as long as possible. We didn't want to be out of the game, and it's 30 minutes to go. So 30 minutes to go, we needed a goal to advance. And obviously the players that really expended a lot of energy, people like Devon Titus, Ikram Reyners and Jaden Adams, and then we had to sort of make substitutes with a bit of cramp and injury, try to freshen things up. We lost a little bit of our structure and sort of playing the ball and moving them around in the second half. We are obviously a little bit anxious, the players, I think, playing it a bit forward too early. But in saying that, there were a little bit of a half moment here and a half moment there. But when you do that and you're chasing the game to, get into a final, you leave yourself a bit exposed. So obviously second half, they had some moments where, they transitioned against us. and looked a little bit dangerous. But there was nothing we could lose. Even if they scored, it wouldn't have changed the picture. A second goal for us, then the only thing would have then been a penalty shootout. So, yeah, I can just be proud of what the lads done out there. It's been a tough week for us emotionally, plus from an injury point of view. Players like Fawaz Basadine and Dino van Rooyen, really solid fullbacks for us. Obviously, the loss of Mtetwa, the red card to Toure. So, yeah, a lot of players got an opportunity today to put their hands up. As I said before the game, we started with 6 players that were playing DDC still 2-3 years ago, with Mervyn Boji on the bench, so a very young squad out there, and they can be very proud of what they done today. To take Pirates, to the brink, almost getting into a final, having played them now 3 times, beaten them twice. I think in the end of the day, the difference, obviously, it turned out to be the away goal, which they scored in additional time in Cape Town. To make it 2-1 after playing the majority of the match with 10 men. So, I think we've shown that we can compete with the bigger teams. It's now just really important for us to now refocus on our league campaign now that we haven't made the final. So, yeah, bittersweet. You won the battle today, but you lost the war. So, happy with the performance, very pleased with the performance, proud of the performance, but obviously disappointed that we've come so close again to a final and we haven't got over the line.
Thank you, Coach. Questions from the floor?
I love Coach Barker, man. Coach Barker just, he tells you everything in the beginning. Don't have to listen to too many things. Let's go on over to Jose Rivero, a man who always seems like, hey guys, why are you making me do this press conference? Let's hear what he had to say.
2023, and it will be at the Moses Mabhida Stadium, joined by the home team coach, Coach Jose Rivero. Coach, firstly, congratulations on progressing.
Thank you.
And if we can just get a summary of the 90 minutes.
Again, we same as last time here, we didn't start the way we wanted. Losing the ball too easy in the first minutes of the game and not really playing the areas where we wanted. All the credit also for our opponent. I think Stellenbosch played a really good semi-final overall in Cape Town first, and also today it was a very difficult opponent for us, as usually. And threatening with long balls, long diagonals with Titus. There was always some difficulties to defend. And in one set piece, in the second action in one set piece, they managed to get the lead. We were not comfortable at all during the first half. We were there playing football, but not our football, and that's not a good thing. Second half, I think we controlled the game fully, in my opinion. The uncertainty of the result makes you feel so-so, but I don't remember any situation where they could really have a clear chance. Long balls, a couple of set pieces, throw-ins, but I think we created better chances in the second half. But unfortunately, it's the third game in a row that we couldn't put the ball in the net, and that's something that is affecting also our perception of the day, and we have to all understand and make sure we understand that it's the third time that this group is playing a semi-final, third time they have an opportunity to improve the history of the club playing one more final, and they are always on time, and they make it again, and Orlando Pirates is in the final. This group is extremely competitive, even in the bad days, and today was not an exception. Probably not our best week, but Orlando Pirates is in Durban the 7th of October, and it's something that we really celebrate.
Okay, Coach, let's take questions from the floor.
Okay. I'm going to stop it there. So that we can start our discussion about what is happening again. Shout out Dstv fans on YouTube. If you want to watch any of the press conferences, Dstv fans is one of the best places where you can go to find the game. A lot of the press conferences. I'm going to start it off and then I'm going to let people in. Look, I think Stellenbosch needed to score 2 goals. That's what we needed from this game. They needed to score 2 goals. They came out, they pressed Pirates. They got a lot of chances very early on where Rangers maybe could have had 2 or 3 goals in the beginning. So in as far as what Stellenbosch did, they played the best game that they could play. Like the coach said, it was the first time their centre-back pairing played together. They just lost to Mtetwa Unyambose at Chiefs, Danki Stellenbosch. They just lost to Mtetwa, who was the heart of that midfield. And the injury to Van Wyk and the injury to Reiners really did take the game away from them. Second half, when those unfortunate events happened, they started not playing. They didn't really put together any chances. It's sort of like they took that 1-0 and went home with it. On the Pirates side, like Coach said, 3 games. 3 games versus Stellenbosch, 2 losses, right? 3 games for Pirates, 3 games with no goals. You know, Mamelodi Sundowns came to Pirates Orlando Stadium on Wednesday and won the game, hard-fought game. Everybody's running hard. Pirates was missing some key players. But then you'd imagine that they would have bounced back when they played against the Stellenbosch. And when they got to Stellenbosch, it looked like a tired Pirates that didn't know how to play. Mtetwa at the back didn't seem to be gelling well with Zukoki. It seemed as though that relationship hasn't been built out. Undrondro looked a bit out of place because for some reason he was asked not to fetch the ball. So Pirates didn't necessarily have somebody who could dictate the tempo of the game. Saleng continued on his run of poor form. I know we had spoken earlier and said that no, maybe Saleng has been made into more of a team player, but it seems as though that confidence of Saleng is gone. I don't know if it's because people have figured him out, or if it's the tactics that Pirates are deploying, but it was a lifeless second half. You know, one of the questions I asked you guys when we were speaking about Pirates, or 2 questions. One was, can Pirates summon it at will? Can Pirates play at a high tempo? We know that Pirates is a downhill team, a team that if they score 1 goal, they're likely to score 2 more. They're likely to score 3 more. We saw earlier where they were scoring 4s and 5s, you know. Can they summon it at will when the game is not going their way, when maybe they're not in it all the way for whatever reason, or they're tired? Will they be able to do it? And then number 2, these players that are on the outside, Pirates signed a lot of quality players. These players that are on the outside, can they be integrated within this team? Can they be brought in? Will they be ready when they're brought in? Think about Ukapinga. I see some comments speaking about Ukapinga here, that Ukapinga wasn't in the game. He wasn't there. You couldn't see him when he came on. So is the rotation going to work for Jose going forward? You know, I guess they did the job in the first leg, so you can't necessarily take it away from them. They didn't need to do much, right? But I think Pirates should start feeling a way about 3 games, and it could just be fatigue. Out of the games that we've played, out of the games Pirates have played, the coach has made 4, 5 changes. So a lot of those players are tired legs. It's tired legs, you know. Pirates still has a weakness of not playing with a central defensive midfielder. So there's nobody to protect the defense. And when you're playing with Marco and Shandu, they go. No, it was Marco and Munyane, sorry, if I'm not mistaken. They go, right? Munare goes as well. And if you can pressure them high and win the ball back, you put that defense under pressure. And that happened a few times in that game. So I don't know if that's something that Jose should be looking into, because that is a weakness that maybe could be exploited a lot more. Maybe you should see your Tims coming in, your Makaulas coming in, and go from there. But it's going to be interesting to see how Pirates rebounds from this. It's going to be interesting how Pirates later on in the season, when Champions League is up, when the league is up, when everything is running, do they have a plan B? Do they have players that are going to be ready when they're called upon? Or are we going to see the same players playing all the time? You know, we spoke about Abo Vum Vum, Abo Mavuvu. You know, are they going to be ready when they're called upon? Especially seeing as he didn't want to play these games. And again, this was a game versus Stellenbosch team that has already beaten Pirates once this season, right? So they have the blueprint on what to do. And he repeated the same thing. Again, Hotto made it onto the field for some reason. And yeah, Pirates was dead rubber. So boring match towards the end. Stellenbosch win, but like coach said, you've won the battle, but you haven't won the war. So Pirates is going to be going through to go play Imabalodi Sundowns on the 7th of October at Moses Mabhida Stadium. Again. But anyway, I'm going to open up the lines now. Excuse me. Please remember that you have to join me on TikTok. Follow the page, and then I'm going to allow you guys to come in and we can speak. We can speak a little bit more about this Pirates match that was played versus the Stellenbosch. You guys can request, bottom of the screen, just click on the multi-guest button and you can request to jump in. Let me read some of the comments while we wait for requesters. Stellies were too casual. There was no sense of urgency to get another goal. Bucks deserved to be in the final. Had Stellies not received a red card in the first leg, we would be talking a different story, says Umto. Saleng is a one-season wonder. Teams now playing against him to great success. Coach is confused when it comes to lineup. Kim Vuyuri is the solution for Pirates, says Ustuga. Integration is the problem for Pirates. I spoke about his performance, not the minutes he plays. Our coach now, there's Kim Vuyuri on the bench, but he opts to play a clueless capping. Is that what you guys are calling him? Oh, Pella, we wanted him so badly, Pirates. I'm saying we. In terms of Pirates. Pirates wanted him so badly. Now you guys are calling him clueless. What's going on, guys? What's going on? Oh, you guys don't want to jump in? You guys don't want to jump in today? I'll work a Pirates. Okay, let's see. Mildo, how are you doing? Welcome to the show. Mildo,
Thank you.
I'm going to ask you two questions. Firstly, what are your general thoughts about this game? And then secondly, should Pirates fans and Pirates start getting worried with these performances?
Not really. I think it's not really to feel panicking or be concerned. I think it's a bit unfortunate lately, but then yeah, it will be concerning, but we shouldn't feel worried.
Okay.
It's not like we were played bad. We were playing bad. It's just that maybe we didn't have luck. You understand? So we do have quality players. We do have depth. It's just a matter of time and the coach finding it. Maybe those combination plays and whatsoever. Yeah, and I still feel that Paris is playing a very good brand of football under the Spanish coach.
Okay.
Yeah, I think no, we shouldn't like panic. Like we are through to the final, even though we lost the game. But then, no, man, I think fans should be patient. And like sometimes I watch all the games, ne? And I even see after the games that they still sing with the players. The players remain with the fans, and like it so far it's still okay. It's still okay, if not bad. But I still feel it's still okay. Let's
But
see.
do you have
Maybe
time? Do you have
in
time? Because Sundowns in the league is pulling away.
time.
You know, maybe you could win another cup, defend the title, but Champions League is coming.
You know,
League will get hot.
you know, there was looking at Sunderland's games, ne? Okay, they're doing very good in the league, ne? And the unfortunate part is that looking at those games, especially their wins. They are very questionable. Looking at if you can analyze the games and how they win, the penalties, the fouls. If you, I even saw the game against Pirate, and yes, that was a game of two halves. I saw how Pirate came back in the second half, and sometimes not. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. It's
Okay.
still
Okay.
early. I
Okay.
still feel it's still a bit early to even conclude or say Sundown has yes, I can agree. They play good. They play good. They're dominating, yes. But then I still feel like their games and their wins somehow benefiting, I don't know, but questionable at some
Okay.
point. Even the decisions, sometimes they go against,
Mm,
but
mm,
they
mm,
favor them.
mm. Okay.
So it's still early. I wouldn't rush and say and conclude and say the league is over or Sundowns run away. No,
Mm,
they're in a pretty good position,
mm.
but then it's not how you start; it's how you finish. Let's just wait. If I could say maybe 15 games and they're unbeaten, maybe I would say yes, they've ran away. But for now, no, I'm not. I'm not shaken about them. Let's wait on the 7th and see what's gonna happen. But I doubt. It's still
Okay.
50-50 for me.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And for
Let me
Pirates
bring.
fans,
Uh,
they need to relax.
it's I'm
Mm.
gonna come back. I'm
So
gonna
for
come
Pirates
back.
fans, they shouldn't panic.
I'm gonna come back. We'll talk a bit more. Let me
Okay.
bring everybody in. Malume Kuto, welcome to the show, my brother. How you doing?
I'm wondering how are you, Mr. OT, the panel, and everyone at home?
I've got two questions for you. Firstly,
Hello,
your
hello.
general thoughts about that game versus Stellenbosch, and then also, should alarm bells be ringing?
Yeah, general thoughts, didn't get much of it. And I think I approached it the way the entire Orlando Pirates team approached it. And the
What a
entire
foregone
country.
conclusion.
Exactly, or we are done, which is the same attitude we had towards Ijwaneng. If we are being honest, Pirates and the entire country after a FIFA break, we just marked a game in Sundowns and said, "This is where we are going. This is the important game. Everything else is settled." One understand, and it came back to haunt us. And these are the fruits in life. This is what happens. Um, they always forget how you performed. It's the results that matter. Today, we're not talking about two losses and a heroic performance against Sundowns. We're talking about three losses now. Understand? So, whether you play well against Sundowns and you lose uh, hook or by a crook, at the end of the day, after 3 months or after three games, you will say you've lost 3 games in a row. Understand? And I think Paris need to adopt a big team mentality, a Man
Okay.
City, a Man City like a Real Madrid like mentality, where literally every game is a final. Uh, I think we've shared ka issue ya Champions League when Lazio playing at home, playing the first game of 6 in the Champions League, where they could have said, "Aye, we can still win 2 other games." Decide to send through a keeper in the 94th minute to say, "Go and steal something for us." And great to see the keeper score. But the reason I'm drawing towards the game is to show Uguti, some people really fight for everything that's available. They don't just say, I'll fight the other fight, this one is useless. So I would love to see my team behave in a manner that a big team would behave and try to win each and every game. It's not nice to be sitting here saying, I've lost 3 games in a row
Yeah.
in 3 different tournaments. I understand. We've been beaten by teams that I never thought would beat us. Jwaneng, we've been beaten at home by Sundowns, and now beaten at home by Stellenbosch, who I was overconfident to say I don't think Stellenbosch should be able to repeat what they did. And they actually beat us 1-0 again to show it wasn't a fluke. So another thing we should do is to assess the two losses against Stellenbosch to see Gucci, what's the hold that they have over us and try and remediate, because now we always ask about blueprint of beating Pirates or Sundowns or Chiefs. I think now the blueprint is clear that it's somewhere in Steve Barker's bag. If someone just robs Steve Barker, they'll know or understand.
Yeah.
At this point, and I think we've tried it, and in important games, it has failed us. We've tried to use this thing, no defensive midfielder, and it seems like it's not working. It's a nice imaginary formation. You want to put a front foot at all times. One understand. But at this point, I think maybe for the benefit of the team, for a momentum, let's go back to tried and tested approach. Let's bring in team, because issue double eight, if you may.
Yeah.
It's not because we lack personnel. It's purely experimental. Understand? Unlike coaches where they had to find a six and they were forced to play an 8 as a 6. With us, it's a choice, as you said. So maybe because we're going into a now extremely important game against Jwaneng, which should have been a game that we treat like how we treated Stellenbosch, to say whatever happens, we've gone through. Now we can't even consider goal. I can imagine. Well, I understand. I can imagine with this complacent mindset, if we were to score 2 goals in the first half, I'd then be on the edge of my seat, because I understand the complacency that creeps into our team at times. That in the 90th minute, what looks like home and dry, at 2-0, Jwaneng might come back, sneak in, and get that 2-1 and that all-important away goal. So we go in not only needing 2 goals, but actually needing 3 or 4 goals for comfort, which is something you don't want, which is something you don't want if you're a team that is not really well known for breaking down a low block. Because I can guarantee you one thing, Jwaneng is coming a low block and hoping for that counter. And Jwaneng, in their suitcase right now, in their laptops, in their smartphones, the only thing they have are the Stellenbosch games.
Okay. Let me bring them Tom. Tom, welcome to the show. How are you doing, my brother?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Hey, first, I'd like to apologize about Friday. Man, load shedding killed me. I could
Don't
not
stress.
just,
Don't stress.
yeah. So,
Two
right when I
questions.
was about to come on, yeah. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Okay,
so yeah,
no.
yeah.
No, don't stress. Tom. 2 questions. What are your general thoughts about this game that Pirates played versus Stellenbosch? And should the alarm bells be ringing, man? Should they be worried with these 3 losses?
Yeah, you know what? I kind of expected Stellenbosch to win. Stellenbosch somehow seems like they are Pirates hoodoo team. No matter how prepared Pirates is, Stellenbosch seems to get it right against Pirates. They just know Pirates number, you know. So, and again, I like what the previous speaker said. Pirates against teams who are just waiting to counter them, they are playing a low block, they struggle because they're trying to be that offensive team, whereas if they are attacked, they're not as great sometimes, especially if they play against teams who are playing really quick on transition, and that's what Stellis does. So Pirates plays very well. I don't want to lie to you. The brand of football that Pirates is playing is good, but it's high energy and it sometimes takes its toll on the players. That's why some of the results haven't gone their way right now. But I don't think they should be worried that much. They will come back, but I don't think they can beat Stellenbosch. They can play 3 more games against them. They will still lose somehow. I don't know why.
So do you think they can play slow? Is that what Pirates' issue might be, that they can't play slow? They have to play high tempo. It has to be Orlando's rocking, everybody's rocking. But in those boring games, they don't come to the party.
Actually, that's what was supposed to happen. I mean, it was more about game management in this second leg because they've done the work in Cape Town. So they were not supposed to play a high tempo game. So unfortunately, again, because they're trying to build that big team mentality, you can't tell a big team not to play their style of football. And every big team is supposed to play their style of football. And Pirates style seems to be the attacking style. So unfortunately, it did not work out because as Telly is like I'm saying, Steve Parker really knows how to beat the Pirates.
Okay, okay. So let me bring in Ludwig. Ludwig, welcome to the show, my brother. Please behave, Ludwig.
Chomia Kamara, you know I do behave.
Behave.
I won't. But
Tell me, two questions. What are your general thoughts about this game that Paris played versus Stellies? And then also, should Paris start being worried that 3 games, 3 losses, no goal scored, one was at home, or 2 were at home?
yeah, definitely, I think Pirates they must start being worried. It seems like Jose Ferrero doesn't have the second option because I'm very much worried. Because if you can see, they getting used to playing high tempo game. If they become so predictable in such a way that they cannot play their high tempo game, then it's a mess up. So he must just get another team to be prepared for high tempo game and the normal games. And I'm very much worried about the since the beginning of the season. There's only five or six changes on a normal squad that you usually know. So he becomes very much predictable in such a way that each and every coach can read Pirates that they are playing high tempo game and what are they using? Are they using Saleng? Are they using Maswanganya? Are they using Mofokeng and Monare? So and the rest is just a backup for Pirate. So if we can close those 4 guys, then we are done with Pirates. So he doesn't definitely have a plan B for Pirates. I can fully guarantee you that Pirates is not gonna play high tempo game the whole season because of those play. What if they've got 3 or 4 of those normal players that they usually play on their injury list? Then it's a mess because the coach on its own doesn't give other new signings or other players the chances to rotate. Rotating the squad is very important, especially when you're playing a higher tempo game, especially even when as well we are on the Champions League, we are in a league, we are in a cup games. So you're playing all the same players now and then. So it's gonna be a problem when we need them the most, like on a Champions League. We have to fill our Lesedi Kapinga, whereas they are not gel quietly show on a team. So it becomes a very, very, very big mess. I think he needs to give other players chances. Like how long have we seen the players like Makaula, Miguel team? It's a mess, my bro. It's mess, my bro. You must just learn to rotate the squad so that Pirates can get used to the same style of play. He can play the same structure, the same plan, but he must rotate the players so that they can get used to the system.
Okay, okay, okay. If I can jump in, I think
Can you hear me?
yes, yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you. I'm gonna jump in quickly, then go back to Umindlo. I think for me, the reason why I'm asking about these alarm bells is that it's not necessarily that Pirates has been outplayed and outmuscled, and the other teams were doing all these things. What's scary for me is that Pirates couldn't impose themselves on the game. Saleng has been missing now for three games. And now teams have realized that if we just play a low block, you take out Saleng, and Saleng doesn't know what to do, right? So that's the worrying bit. The secondary worrying bit is what happens if Ndondlo gets injured? What happens if Ulipasa's out? What happens if Utito, actually, if Utito gets injured on the other side? Will there be players that can step in and be ready? Look now, Koki plays with CBC. Upozela was taken out for this game. Completely different game. There was literally points where Stellenbosch just put a ball straight down the middle of Pirates' defense. Like it was literally a high ball down the middle, and it was a chance for Rainers. And then you go, what happens if something happens there? Why aren't we seeing the rotation, bringing in people, changing formations, changing the way they play when certain players are on the pitch? And I think it's something that Jose is going to have to deal with because injuries happen, fatigue happens, number of games is up, and if Stellenbosch can beat you, if Jwaneng can beat you, if Sundowns can beat you, even though that was more of an open game, what goes on there? What's going to happen? Mendo, I want to ask you about Stellenbosch. What is Steve Barker doing right there? Because as he said, they just lost Mtetwa, there's injuries, there's the red card for Toure, centre back pairing is playing for the first time, Van Beek and Reiners get injured, but they still come out with that 1-0 win. What do you think of it?
I personally think with Steve Barker plans very well.
Okay.
He's good game. He's playing very well against. I don't know. It's more something like a he do against Pirates because he is playing very well against the Pirates because it's for him. I think um the first game that he played against Pirate when we lost the first league game that we lost, and the game that we also lost this past weekend was very the same. It didn't change anything. He planned very well, but then some of my concern is I would like to agree with Lodwick because the the rotation is very important because losing these three games we became very predictable.
Okay.
We became very predictable. And yes, you made a point like, what if those other players get injured? Then who are we going to replace them with? Because I feel that we miss a lot of players in Pirates squad because the way we played, I think teams planned very well against us. Hence, that's why like it looked like Ucheze doesn't have a plan B. And looking at all those players that Pirates have signed and all the players that we have depth, but then the fact that they still were very predictable. That can be a concern, but then nonetheless, I wouldn't say much of it because if this was happening more like in the league, that will raise and because we Pirates is mostly watching with maybe it's that team that can compete against Sundowns, that can hold Sundowns again. But then, if there's no rotation, then fatigue is gonna cause a lot of players. It's gonna cause us injuries and fatigue. And for other players to come in and fill up those gaps and adapt to the style of play, it's going to be difficult going forward. Nonetheless, if let's just maybe let's see if in the next two games how they play. But nonetheless, credit has been given credit is due to Steve Barker for playing a very good brand of football. Especially he showed this against a lot of teams, and yes, I think it's Stellenbosch is playing very well. It's playing a very good brand of football. It's playing very well, and he showed that. That's why I say that he playing very well. Considered Chato was out, and he mentioned some suspensions and injuries, but coming to the game against Bayern, he came prepared. He came very prepared, and he planned. He had plan A, plan B. It's unfortunate what we can say about the Orlando Pirates. Not playing bad. Yes, not scoring in the past three games, it could raise some questions. But I wouldn't like take goals deep and be worried. Nonetheless, I still feel okay. Let's see. Let's look at the next two games. We are playing Kef this coming week, and I'm not sure when. Maybe the final, if I'm not mistaken. If there's no league match,
Yeah.
I think let's look at the next coming two games. Then that maybe can raise a flag for me and see if our coach Yeah. So
Malema
yeah,
Kutso.
let's see
Oh,
the next coming 2 games for Pirates.
okay. No. Let's see.
No,
Let me
no,
bring
I'm
it.
done. Thank you. I'm
Let
done.
me bring it. Malema Kutso. Malema Kutso. Steve Barker basically insinuated that he played this game with one hand tied behind his back, blindfolded, with a leg missing, and he still came out with the win. What did Steve Barker do well in this game?
Um, the bar is low for him, and I must be honest, the bar is extremely low for him.
Yeah.
In the sense of which he's currently lying in 13th, and he's a hero for being number 13, and that's two places just above relegation. One understand. However, not looking at just connecting the table, but going into the material points. The link between development and the first team uh, works extremely well for them. The achievable goal that if you perform well at Stellies, we won't stand in your way also works well for them. They've got Ashley Dupree, they've got Kanakimang Umtetwa, and other players I might not be able to mention at the top of my head. But it sends a message to AMA player to say, perform well. It will not only do us great good, but it also do possibly you and your family a world of good. One understand. And also, he looks like a great motivator.
Okay.
He looks like he has mastered and he understands the young boys he's speaking to. He knows the right words to use to navigate that sweet spot in their heart to have them leave everything, their blood, sweat, and tears on the pitch for him. I understand. And it always works out well. How many centre backs have they been able to produce of late, whether by buying or by promoting? Even the late young boy, is it Andres? Who sadly passed away, came in at 19, and it was like glove in hand. He fed it so nicely. I remember 1 or 2 games, I was like, hey, Pirates must look into this one. And unfortunately, he had to go and meet God way too early. One understand. And another centre back then came in who was pairing with him, and today the boy is overseas. One understand. So not only is it, I hear him say it's a new centre back pairing for the day, but in actual fact, even the regular centre back pairing is only pairing for the first time this season. One, I think Kumaluisane was at that now relegated Marispec United. You'll correct me if I'm wrong. And his partner was at the now relegated Marumo Gallants. Both defenders come from a relegation team. So to me, it says Steve Barker knows how to, Coach Steve knows how to get these boys ready for in showtime. When the cameras are on, when the attention is on them, he knows which words to use. Even if it's against Chiefs, even if it's against Sundowns, no big team, or rarely so, will a big team be able to run over Stellenbosch.
Is that a
And
bit of an issue, though? Is that a bit of an issue that, yes, when you're playing against Chiefs, you're up for it. Yes, when you play against Pirates, you're up for it. Yes, Sundowns, you're up for it. But in terms of the league, like you said, they're number 13 right now. They tend to hover around 8, 9, around there normally. Is that an issue? Fine.
it's a recipe for disaster.
Okay.
If you want a way to be detrimental to yourself, that's one of the ways to say my players only play against big teams. You'll find yourself where Julius Musiamedi finds himself. You ask Chiefs fans about Julius
Yeah.
Musiamedi.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, what a great striker. You present his stats, they're like, no way. That's the guy who scored literally almost in every game against Chiefs. When he played against us, he would score. But the stats suggest something else. They suggest that he only came to play, or he only had soccer boots when they're playing against Chiefs. One understand? Which is why I think, and I'm assuming right now, he's struggling to find a team. because now you have to produce a track record, and track record is not so nice. It's good for show, but not for actual kind of game. For you to get proper credit, actual recognition rather. So for Estates Stellenbosch, it's dangerous for them to only play big games. They need to beat Abo, not only SuperSport United, but Abo Moroka Swallows, Abo Golden Arrows.
Yeah.
Well, those are the
Yeah.
teams. If you listen to Coach Pizzo, he will tell you at some point, he would say he doesn't need to beat Chiefs or Pirates. Well, understand? He knew with the league points. Dikwako Marispec United, Dikwako Golden Arrows, Amazulu, Polokwane City. That is where you get the actual points, not Chiefs and Pirates. Those ones, you can beat them. And I'm not saying the 6 points you get from Chiefs and Pirates is different from the 6 points you would get at Amazulu. No. What I'm saying is the effort you put in for Chiefs and Pirates should be your normal effort in a sense of which it should be the high standard that you present against Chiefs and Pirates. That should be the norm in your team, not a surprise performance. Because if that's the case, you're going to beat Pirates playing extremely well. And Golden Arrows is going to prepare for you, which is going to come playing extremely well. Can't do bringing in a sluggish performance. And that's how you're going to get beat. Because you're not on your A game, whereas your opponents have prepared for your A game. Yeah, I understand. So, in as much as I allowed a performance against these big teams, I also question the team's performance or the boys' motivation going to face small teams.
Okay. So, Steve Parker, what is he doing right there at Stellenbosch? Because every time he comes into a big game, he just knows what to do.
No, guys, I think you're missing the point about the Stellies. Stellies, for me, is one of the best teams in transition in the PSL.
Okay.
So, obviously, against big teams, you have to play in transition because you expect them to have it, a position, and they're gonna be attacking and giving you those chances to, So it kind of makes sense for them to be very good against big teams. And then against the smaller clubs who now in turn are playing low block. So he struggles against because of that. And the other point against him is that Stellies is a selling club. They've sold so many of their players to the bigger club. So every year he's building. So I mean that kills any consistency that he can build in a team. Every year he has to start afresh. I mean now I think the previous speaker mentioned center back pairings. There's Utore and the other guy. They come from relegated teams. And I think he even took Sikota from Chiefs. So he's trying to build another squad again. And all of these players will hit. And then once they hit, they go to Pirates, Chiefs, Sundowns. That's what happens with Stellies. One thing that I'll
Can I ask
give.
you, before you move on, I just want to ask you, sidebar with Upaka. Is that not an issue then? That doesn't he want, how do I put it, more for himself? That as a coach, doesn't he want to go up? Doesn't he want to go find another job? Should that not be something that's an issue for him? 200 and something games into coaching Stellenbosch? Or is he
Hey,
comfortable?
Imnandi Maliaga Rupert, I wouldn't leave myself. So I get what you're saying. So it's a matter of being more ambitious. But if it works for him, as someone from Mitax, I know you didn't really like Upaka because he failed elsewhere. What if it's working for him here? So that's why he's comfortable there.
We saw Tux
So
do this for years.
yes.
Exactly what
So
Stellenbosch is doing.
exactly. So now I do agree with you. So it's the same thing that I have against my coaches who stay in one team. I like what Steve Compella did. You could see, what I want to be a head coach. I want to lead a team, and he left Sundowns. And I like coaches like that who are ambitious, who want to try other things. But unfortunately, when you're comfortable and the money is good, you'd stay above. So that's yeah.
Do you think that Stellenbosch is this a symptom of the league, that you have a team that when you have to go to Orlando, man, You wake up when you have to go play Chiefs, go Polokwane. You wake up, but when it's time for you to go play Golden Arrows, it's tough for TS Galaxy. Is this a symptom of our league?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's the same thing in all of this, even internationally. It's not unique to EPSL. I mean, you look at it, Brighton. Brighton smashed United and then lost the next game, go Europa League. It doesn't make sense. So the small teams always up their game against the big teams because partly it's because the players are trying to market themselves to the bigger clubs in a way. Because you raise your game now knowing that if I do well against the Pirates, chances are I'm gonna land up in a big team. That's what happened with some of these players that we've seen moved. I mean, Dupreez used to trouble the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So Chiefs saw him, and then they took him from that. So I think it's a case of raising your level against the bigger clubs more than anything else. Because honestly, these small clubs, you can watch Colin Arrows and Stellenbosch, you'll be shocked. It's not the same level they play at, like when they're playing Chiefs. I actually watched one of their games against, I think it was against the Arrows, it was a draw. It wasn't really the Stellenbosch that was tormenting the Chiefs or the one that torments the Pirates. No. And again, it has to come from that because the players are also trying to market themselves.
Okay. Ludwig, Steve Barker still doing miracles versus these bigger teams, or trying.
You know, my guy, the one thing I can tell you about is that Steve Barker is a very good development coach. If you can check the squad that he's playing right now, he took some of the players from the development that won the MDC League last year. He's developing a very good relationship with the young players. Like what Coach was saying is that he's getting his way, his good way through these young players. It's like when he's playing other normal teams. Sorry to say that there is no normal team inside BSL, but I can say excluding Pirates, Sundowns, and Chiefs. It's like he's telling these guys, go and play your normal game. Don't worry. But when you play Sundowns, Chiefs, and Pirates, remember is the teams to be beaten. So you go and you prove yourself, guys. Go and prove yourself that you can play the A game as their standards.
Okay.
But every time when you play Sundowns, Chiefs, and Pirates is the only time when you bring your A game. So it becomes a problem because I really liked Kuzo's perspective when he's saying, "These guys, you're not gonna win league from getting 6 points from Sundowns, Pirates, and Chiefs. You need also to compete with other teams so that you can get the required points to be where you need to win the league, because their performance is only upping when they play in the bigger the bigger teams, and that's when it's becoming a problem. That's when I don't know what the coach is thinking about. Did he thought about it before he plays, or he's just telling the guys go and express yourself, because it's gonna be a very big problem. You beat Chiefs and Pirates and Downs, then you get 6 points from each, but you're still on the 13th position. That is it's a problem on its own. So I think something must be wrong on the PSL coaches. If you can see, excluding Pirates, Sundowns, and Chiefs, all those other teams, when they play these 3 games, they're upping their games to such an extent that is a surprise package. So why they don't bring that into other teams? What is wrong? What does the structure saying? What is the coach saying? What does the analysis saying? Because I don't think the analysis, they analyze only Chiefs, Pirates, and Sundowns in such a way that they need to up the game. They should analyze each and every team so that they can bring a new system to the team that will beat all the teams. But Steve Barker, it's a very good development coach. I don't want to lie to you. So, like what Mpo was saying is that they sold all their players. It seems like even though they've got the financial muscle to buy the good players, but it seems like their strategy is to produce good players so that they can sell and make a revenue for the team. I don't see, with such a financial muscle that they are, it's not the team that's supposed to be on the 13 places. They should have been bought the best players more than ever Sundowns they can buy, so that they can produce the better quality play than what we see on a daily basis when they play other teams. It's absolutely something else different.
Yeah, look, Stellenbosch, I think Stellenbosch is the story of a lot of PSL teams. TS Galaxy beats Chiefs. The one day they celebrate like crazy. They come out and they have press conferences where they speak about the game and this and that and UEFA licenses, lose the next game. You know, Stellenbosch comes out. You listen to Coach Barker when he breaks down what Pirates does and what Chiefs does. You know, you listen to him speak and you're like, hey man, this is crazy. But then when it's time to go play your peers and below, that's where the issue comes from. And you know, I've joked before that it seems as though in the league it's Sundowns, and then the rest of the 15 teams just anyone can win any game. You know, and I think it's just the mentality of the league that, I guys, can't you come out and play a little bit harder? Can't you come out and win the other games? Maybe you focus so much on Sundowns, so much on Chiefs, so much on Pirates, that you lose out on the smaller games. And you could say pretty much the same about Chiefs as well, right? So it's that mentality of the league. The reason why I usually single out to Coach Barker, guys, Coach Barker is 205 games or something like that into coaching Stellenbosch, right? At some point, you'd be like, my guy, don't you want a little bit more? Don't you want to move up? Don't you want to go do something different? Maybe go into Africa. And a lot of our coaches, especially the more experienced ones, are so comfortable at number 8, so comfortable at number 10, so comfortable there, you know, that you have to really question whether they want this thing, you know, whether they want to be successful, they want to be ambitious, they want to catch Sundowns, they want to do better. Because, as we always say, Stellenbosch is owned by a man. It's owned by a man that is 4 times richer than Motsepe. So if you guys think Motsepe throws money and doesn't feel it, Rupert wouldn't feel it at all. So at what point does the coach not go to the leadership of the club and say, but guys, let's do something different, or go out and go look for your own challenge, you know? These are some of the questions we ask of our coaches. Malema Kuto, let's go to your coach, Jose. Jose Rivero. Will juggling this squad be an issue for him? Because it seems as though you have 3 or 4 really key players, key players. And when they're not on song and when they're not playing, it seems like the other guys aren't coming along. And now we're what? About 7, 8, 9 games? I don't know, 7, 8 games into Pirates' season so far. And already you can see some of them are tired, and maybe the replacements aren't as ready.
You know, there's a Tswana proverb about Moshate's cow. If you know that cow, Komya Moshat. Waikapa Molato, Wailesa Molato. Simply put, it means damned if I do, damned if I don't. And that's the relation around rotation. If it works out, kudos to you. If it doesn't, then you ask something like, why change it if it's not broken? Why fix it if it's not broken, rather? One understand. But I would rather be on that side of being asked, Uti, why fix it when it's not broken? Because then I can give an explanation, which I'm just trying to keep everyone's engine warm. One understand. There are games where we could have rotated well. For purposes of match fitness, games where we were clapping people 5. Could have subbed Uzakele Pasa and thrown in Romeo or whichever striker was available early, maybe in the 65th minute, because some of these games were wrapped up pretty early. One understand, where we're beating people 3. Yes, we've tried. I won't lie, especially the right back position. There's proper rotation there between the two oaks, Omunyan and Oshandu, which has actually been happening for probably 5 seasons if you think about it. Whether it was Wade Yoste and whoever was playing, Abel Mabaso, we haven't had an issue rotating the right back position. It's the other positions, especially that midfield. And it came back to bite us against Sundowns, the fact that Ndlondo and Umnare are enjoying the time of their lives there, comfortably so. Enjoying soft life, whatever they do, doesn't come back to bite them. They remain in the lineup, whether winning or not. Makaringe seldomly comes in to replace them, and unfortunately for whoever replaces them does not even get to replace them again the next game. Understand? There's no consistency in terms of because you can't just play a player one game and say building match fitness. For example, Kim Vidi, he played last game, right?
Yeah.
At least introduce him like you do with Ukaping, just to get the car going. By the time because I actually did say at some point to Uguti, Ndlondo was going to be suspended quite early. I think I said this after the third or second game because he was racking up these yellow cards fast. So to aid that, at least have a warm car ready. We always come on 65 minutes, you're throwing in someone so that when Ndlondo is not available, someone else can jump in. And Sundowns did it very well, Katemba's one. At some point, he wasn't available. But there was someone who had already came in for 4 or 5 games, I'm sure, if not 3. And I think that's Unku. Had came in Garissa a couple of times that when Chambers one wasn't available, Unku was able to jump in nicely, slot in there, and had an understanding Libo Ribeiro as well as the other front men.
Yeah.
Currently, Mendieta is not doing well, but he's aided by the fact that he's coming in Karisab. He's coming in when games are wrapped up. By the time he gets his form, he's already match fit. He's already ready to start the game. He's not a foreigner in the team. Everyone knows how to pass and how to manage Umendiet, how to space for Umendiet. Right now, I'm happy Ka Kim Vidi what he came in and did, but do players have it in their memory how Kim Vidi moves when he's under pressure? Because Jim has only the game. Game time, the Jim, and game against Pretoria JRD go friendly is very different from even game against Golden Arrows. So I feel that I like the loyalty and the reward system that the coach uses. If you play well, the coach will reward you ka starting path. But all I'm saying is, at least we now have 5 sub opportunities. At least utilize that. At least have 3 subs for technical purposes, and then 2 for squad rotation purposes.
Or a bomb squad once.
Bomb squad, you understand? But they show maybe if the game demands a specific type of player, then use that. But that's the thing. There is no way Makeshini does not get to play 20 minutes in 3 games. That's one of the best we've seen in the past 3 or 4 years in the PSL. But at least give him game time. Understand? I'm not surprised with him. Tetolena was misjudging balls. Give them some game time. Introduce him as a sub, and then bring. Mandela Onyango came in as a sub against Chiefs. Soon and very soon he'll be able to start nicely without having problems. You understand? So at this point, I feel that my coach needs to revisit his policy and reward system and introduce. I'm happy that he's giving Okaping a chance. I've got a soft spot for Okaping. I feel that he should have came to our team a long time ago. I'm happy that he's getting a chance, but let's expand the squad. Let's not be too predictable. It's okay to have a solid team, and we need to have our go-to players.
Preferred team,
Exactly, but let's not be too predictable. Let people think, ukuthi, is it Maswangai coming, or is it Kaping, or is it Lodge, or is it Kanakemang Ratom, or is it Saleng? Not ukuthi Darko Blue performing or not, Saleng is going to be in the lineup. And we know Saleng. We've discussed this a long time ago. Saleng is a stats player. Even when he was racking in those goals, we could see a naked out the performances are not as brilliant as the stats suggest. So anyone who's really questioning Saleng right now does not understand it. It's just that the ball is not going into the back of the net for him. Last season, people never idibala when he came in, but that didn't last for very long. The one thing he was doing well last season was banging in those goals, not necessarily eliminating and creating goal scoring opportunities. Yes, there were assists, but these assists came in as a result of the hard work from the engine room having been done. Understand? So at least, gents, I would look for more rotation.
Okay. Mto, how hard is it to balance such a squad? Because Jose Rivero has, some might say, a good headache in that he's got a lot of very good players that they've brought in at Pirates to come and play for Pirates and maybe jump in at certain points. But the question then becomes, how do you integrate them into the game? How do you keep them fresh? How do you keep them ready? How do you rotate that team? How hard is it to manage that? And should Jose Rivero be looking at plan Bs that involve his other players?
Jose is spoiled for choice. I mean, the Pirates have signed players that complement the way they want to play. So that's the first thing. And I like what Aputikute has mentioned. I mean, if you give certain players 20 minutes, you don't have to give them the entire game. 15 minutes. You're building that squad. You're building the squad actually, because you will be able to rotate your players freely. Like that's what Urulani does sometimes. Sometimes sometimes but nobody's really having a free shot of claiming that first choice position unless they're really performing at a high level. Look at Ushaluli. Ushaluli is practically undroppable at Sundowns because of he comes in and does the job. And Pirates has an opportunity to do something like that now. So just that the coach needs to be slightly brave. I think maybe he's scared because if he drops some of his players who have done well for him in the past and tries out these new players, and it might not work out, and the fans will turn on him. Maybe it's that, but for me, I feel like he needs to be a lot more braver and try and give certain players minutes and then take it from there, because really Pirates has the players to do that.
Okay. So, Lodrick, big squad, a squad that's got a lot of quality, but in as much as having a big squad is nice, balancing when to bring in those guys, when to play them, how to make sure that you've got accurate replacements and all of that. How important is that going to be for Jose? And up to this point, has he done it well?
My brother, I just want to tell you, according to me, Jose Rivero has got a trust issues.
Okay.
Once he believes in you, he doesn't have a second thought about you. You're always going to be in his pocket because he's having a trust in you. Because it seems like you like what I've mentioned to you is that since Pirates played since this season, he made only 5 substitution towards the team that he was playing. He doesn't have a faith in other players that he did sign for a squad rotation, and which is going to be a problem for him. I think what Malumo Kuchoso was saying is that the 20 minutes on a replacement is very crucial and important. You give a player a confidence at the first place. The second place, then you give him a chance to compete with the current form of a player that is playing at the moment. So it's very important, because if you're playing on Londo, then and Londo is not available, then you're playing Ulisedi Kapinga. he wants that opportunity as well to prove himself that I can fit in that position and I can bring the A game out of Undondlo. So it's just a trust issue, according to me, that Jose Rivero doesn't have that trust in other players that he does to other current squad that he's playing. And the problem that I see that is going to be available for Pirates is this. You can check the players like Maswanga, Nyimo Fukeng. They are still young players. They are still new when they came to this formation of Jose Virero of high tempo game. The fatigue is gonna clock. The guys is not gonna play. I can fully guarantee you, they're not gonna play the whole through season or on a high, irrespective of their age. They are young, but they are still young. These guys. To high tempo game for each and every game is gonna be very difficult. We require so much out of them, whereas they've got less to offer. It's not each and every game that you can play high tempo game. On a normal game, when you play Apple Solos, you play TX Galaxy, give other chances, give other guys chances. See what you can, the best that you can bring out of them. Let them enjoy themselves. Maybe you can get something from them that you couldn't thought that maybe you can get from them. But if once you have a coach that doesn't have a trust in you, obviously you don't have confidence to play in such a team, because you bring a player like Lesedi Kepinga who has been playing good in Sundowns, then you putting him in a bench for almost 7 games. So what are you requiring out of that kind of a player? You're killing his confidence. So I think he needs to think twice when it comes to squad rotation. It's very crucial and important for him, especially when he's playing for a CAF game. Like now, what I think they're gonna play this weekend. They're gonna play CAF, and the next game is gonna be a final. So what if out of those 4 players, the major players that is playing out of them, they are knocked out in a CAF Cup? So what is gonna happen to the final? Then you're absolutely out. Your plan is crashed because you don't have a proper structure to rotate the players. Rotation is very important. So he needs to think twice about that.
Okay, Ludwig, thank you so much. I'm going to move on to the next panel. Give some others a chance as well. I think that's one of the questions that I had. One of the questions that I had. One of the questions that I had before the season started was, in as much as we've seen Jose be very good, big squads, man, it's tough because you have to keep everybody warm. You have to keep everybody ready. Ask my team at Arsenal, for example, where you ask somebody like Reece Nelson to somehow have to come off the bench and save you, but they haven't played any games, you know. Now you look at Pirates, where Abu Saleh might be off form, Lepasa might not be scoring, or somebody might be missing through an injury, somebody might be missing through, you know, some sort of problem or issue. How then do you make sure that the next group of players is ready to step in and take over? You know, and these 20-minute runs and those are very important because it lets everybody get up to speed, and you're not asking people that aren't ready to now run out versus Sundowns and win, or run out versus another team, you know. But we'll see how that plays out. Agent 007, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you doing? You can just unmute there.
I'm good. I'm good, man. I think I need to start calling you. I need to start calling you a prophet. You know, you are a prophet. You know, you are a pastor and archbishop. You know, because I'm looking at the conversation which is happening around. You know, and you know, earlier we talked about the referees. You know, now I see people, and we've talked about the referees for a very long time. I see people now are talking about the fact that they kept president, owner, what, and these are the kind of conversation I've always had. That even some PSL chairman and vice chairman, is that a conflict of interest? So I like the fact that the conversation is growing to what we wanted, and it's like they're lagging behind us. We are far ahead. They're lagging behind us. They must come on this show.
One day, one day I'm gonna surprise you guys, and you'll see Kebs, Dr. Ivan calls right here, and you'll be shocked. What's happening.
No, he needs to come though. Awuti Kusa needs to connect you, man. He can learn one or two. We can refresh the old brain, with new stuff, new stuff.
Oh, no, hey, we will try. Tell me, general thoughts about
Yeah.
this game, and must Paris be ringing the alarm?
Alarm bells, sure. I mean, because we've always thought Pirates as a cup team, so if even in cups they're not doing that well, then alarms have to ring, And like I said during the live, that winning is a habit, Unfortunately, so is losing, The moment they took the foot off the pedal, I think the mistake was the Botswana game, They should have played a full squad, They should have played a full squad because the same team they were going to play against, they played a full squad, and even worse, they were in, was it Burundi or Tanzania? They're in Tanzania, When you're just in Botswana, from here to Botswana is 45 minutes by flight, so it's just a local game, to be honest, So I didn't get the rationale in playing is a team B kind of thing, So sometimes when you get in this kind of slumps, it's difficult to get out of them, because you become too extra careful. Your pass is not longer that intuitive. You have to think about it, and it's the small stuff that kind of affect the whole game in general. So I think for me, excuse me, it was also a mentality issue for them because I think Coach Jose, and I don't blame him, me and Coach Jose, we thought Stellenbosch are gonna come, sit back and try to catch you on a counter. So I think that's why he maybe experimented with some Tetra, And I think that thinking, I don't think Coach Jose said to the players, no, you're going to win this game, but I think it filtered into the players that, this is a walkover, we're already in the final, because the whole narrative the whole week was, what will Paris face in the final, and these players, mind you, on social media also. So I think that filtered into them. So they're not up to game, they're not in the game, they just came there to honor the game, So I think it wasn't much to say about Paris, just that their mentality was poor, It's not a champions mentality, Sundowns can go into a dead rubber game and still produce game, I mean the real Sundowns, not this Camelon one, but the real Sundowns. Anyways, going to Stellis. Oh yeah, and I think, I don't know, something has happened. I think something happened in Spain. They're not telling us. Aputu Coach is not telling us what happened in Spain. Something happened in Spain because team was a mainstay player last season. And it's not like now you see that you guys have brought in Castillo. So Castillo had to replace someone in the squad. And unfortunately it's Tebe. Tata's coming in has to replace someone, maybe Mark. But Ndlondlo was there, Monar was there, and Tim was was there, And I hear Abutukuso saying injury happened for Tim, but players get injured and they come back, unless if Abutukuso is saying when he came back from injury wasn't the same player, then I can understand, But you brought in a team replacement in Makatili Makaul, So maybe it's the Spanish, maybe it's just something in Spain that maybe can use 2-4-8, maybe that's going to work. But I think against the bigger teams, I don't think that will work. I don't think in hope, I don't know. I don't think they'll pass through. But if they pass to group stages, this won't suffice in CAF, they need a natural six. It's the same way Chiefs need a natural six. That's why they said Umthetwa. So we'll see on that. But on Stellenbosch, I think Stellenbosch is the unluckiest team in the PSL. Chiefs is the luckiest team in PSL. The luckiest team in PSL is Stellenbosch. I don't know, guys. Oppenheimer has to visit Skoteni. Yeah, that one. He has to visit him because because this is something else. Like every game they lose a player.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. We talked about it on build up that coach Steve Barker to address that. Has to tell players stay in the game, stay in the game, stay in the game. And the players stayed in the game, but they got injured. One after the other, one after the other. And for me, once Urenas got injured, the game was over for me. I even said that game set match. The game is over, and it's the case, I guess, of small teams that when you miss a key player, the rest of the squad is saying, who's gonna save us? I mean, at Sundowns, if Zwane is not on the game, we can say Sharuli will score for us. If Sharuli is not there, Ribeiro, stuff like that, But with small players, it's only Reynolds, he's everything. And when he gets injured, I think it filters to the players and say, you know what? This tie is also done, Because after Reynolds got injured, nothing happened for the rest of the game, Until the last 3 minutes, that's when they said, let's go for it. But it was really too late. So, yeah. I think they were just unlucky on the day.
Okay.
The tactics were spot on.
Convince, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good, and how are you doing?
No, I'm okay. You sound a bit far away there.
I'm not far as.
Oh, flu.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Tell me, 2 questions. What are your
Sure.
general thoughts about this game that Paris played versus Stellies? And also, should alarm bells start ringing there at Orlando?
First thing first, let me just say I'm happy with the game. I'm always happy when Pirates is losing its form. I'm a Kosi fan, so when I can never be happy when Pirates is winning. Let me just start by expressing my happiness, regardless of which the Pirates has progressed to the final. But I'm happy with what just happened on that game. But also, when it comes to South African football, because we must not be concerned about our favorite teams and only, but we must also check the football that we're playing in South Africa. It is a serious problem what is happening in Pirates, more especially for a big team, West Part that is currently on CAF. It's very, very, very. It's concerning. I think we see Jose Rivero and the technical team of Pirates must start finding other options. I always say this thing, Gucci, never be a walking giant. Like Gucci Minevera, I've got one punch. Once I punch you with this one, you're gone. You must also know, Gucci, I can use my legs for kicks. Just in case you come with a strategy of holding my hands, I have my legs to defend myself. So Pirates going to that game against Stellenbosch, I feel like they didn't have plan B. They just had plan A, which we're going to run and play faster and play faster. And Steve Barker was like, we know they are playing faster. Our own purpose now is to drop them. Once we drop them, they are gone. And that's what they did. They dropped them and the speed was nowhere to be found. With Saleng is a good runner, Shem. That guy can run. It's a good runner, but like let's just be honest, guys. It's a good runner. He makes perfect runs. Marayena being and skillful is good. He can take on a player, he can dribble and all those kind of things. But he cannot mark. He cannot go and search for the ball. He wants the ball to be given to him. So he was nowhere to be found on that game. That's one of the things that I saw. But Pirates must start being worried and they must find another alternatives. And I'm shocked because there are many players in Pirates, not just any players, but good players too, that can replace all those players. If you want players to play, give them a match. Let them feel the competition like on Sundowns. On Sundowns players, they know very well, if I don't play, I've got a replacement on the bench. Let them feel. If there is Ndlondo there, let Ndlondo feel, if I don't play, If I don't play as much as the coach demanded me to do so, then there's someone on the bench who can easily replace me. But on Pirates, there's nothing like that. If there is no ground, there is no game. So it's concerning. They must start to be worried, my brother. That's what I can say for now.
And then what do you think, when you speak about that plan B? You know, I look at Paris' team, and they've bought a lot of people that are pretty much the same. This plan B, what could it be? Just when you're looking at this team, what could it be?
Like nothing. We must start training our players to play differently. You must not have a position with Velamin, I'm straight on this position. I think what's even rotating them from positions, it's gonna help at some point. It's gonna help. Look, I'm in a straight position. I play in this position. And also number two, another thing that we can try to do, make them feel the competition. I feel like that's what they need now. Make them feel the competition. Put pressure. Let them feel the competition. If they don't feel the competition, nothing is happening, my brother. I'm telling you. Mara, once you take them, like, well, no, man. Like now we're playing. There is who put quotes up. There is you table. Then you know very well if I don't play according to what the coach wants, with the coach on that side, it's waiting. And when he comes, he will give his best. And once he gives his best, I'm no more to be found. I will never be seen on the game. So I feel like they need to put pressure on them by getting a perfect competitor, because now there is no competitor in Pirates. And I'm even shocked why are you keeping people like Erasmus on the bench? Come on, bruh. You're losing, but you're keeping Kemit on the bench. Why do you see with those people that are there that you feel that they're not doing anything? I feel like the coach must consider other players, man. They must rotate the squad to find a perfect combination. Sometimes, do you remember the game when they were playing Curling Black Label Cup last year? First game they played their first team. Final they played their B team, but still they won. That's what they need to do. You must have an A team and a B team, and fill them so that they can get used to PSL. Now on weekend they're going to play EKF. What if they have a game on Wednesday? Let's just say they have a game on Wednesday, because I didn't check the fixtures, by the way. Sorry. Even though they have a game, let's say they have a game on Wednesday. You will want to save the one that is your first team, your A team for CAP, because they know very well they lost in Botswana. Then now they must win. It's a must to win. Exactly, and you must trust your B team against that game, because you need the 3 points. So I think with player rotation, it's one of the best options they can do. They can try now.
Okay. I hear my brother. Bonnie, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
No, I'm okay, my brother. I'm okay. 2 questions for you. What did you think of Pirates' game versus Stellenbosch? And then secondly, should Pirates and Pirates fans and the organization be a bit worried with these 3 losses in a row?
In terms of the worrying part, I mean, we need to start here with the issue of Pirates. I believe that Pirates should have been worried since last season when they were winning cups, and where the likes of Saleng were scoring goals and performing very well, if we can put it that way. Because since then, I can tell you now, the problem of Pirates is not the player rotation, is the system that they playing. If we can ask each other now questions, what system is Pirates playing? Definitely, I don't think we'll come up with something that it should be similar from our answers, because they don't have a specific system that they're using, that they're playing with. I heard one of the guy making a very good comment in terms of playing with speed, high intensity all the time. You can't manage other games. There are games that you need to manage, and where Pirates is losing is because they're failing to manage the games, and also you can't keep up with the fitness of the players. I mean, playing like that, game in and game out. So it's been a problem, and it's not been seen, but now most of the team, they are aware that if you wanna get Pirates, this is how you need to play, and also you need to deal with their speed. And also, Saling, yes, he was scoring goals, performing, dribbling players, and doing amazing things at some point. But Saling is not a bad player. It's the problem. It's an individual player. He's not a team player, and that is coming. It's exposing him now. Lately, recently, he's getting exposed because of how he plays, and definitely, like I said, Pirates should have been worried since from last season. And now, the issue on hand, unfortunately, every player that is at Pirates, if we can be honest, for you to be able to be signed at Pirates, Kaizer Chiefs, or Sundowns, which means you are a very good player. You are a very good player. So now the issue is there are players in Pirates, good players to compete in each and every game and with each and every team in the PSL and win maximum games. I mean, the same as what Sundowns is doing on their hand. The issue here is the very big issue that I think it has to do with the technical team that I have as well, uh, which what I've mentioned, what system are they playing? And if the system that they're playing, the way they're playing with the fast speed and uh, every game, I mean, how are they going to manage the fitness of the players and also the work rate of the players? How are you going to manage that? I mean, you can be a hard-working player, but at the end of the day, I mean, fitness, it requires you to be able to manage your strength as well. If we can go back a bit, if you remember how Andile Jali was used as Sundowns, because he's the conductor. If now the tempo of the game has to go down, he will do that. If we have to attack, he was the conductor of that, and he influenced into other players like now Otebogo Mokoena. I mean, the likes of Allende. He influenced that while he was still there, and you can see the continuation of the system that they're using, which if we can say about Pirates as well, I mean, it's a different story. I mean, they've got amazing players like the lake of Romeo. I mean, how can Romeo be on the bench while you need to make sure that you secure a match? I mean, it's a cup final. I mean, it's not about how we play for us to be on the final. It's about getting results, and you've got incredible players on the bench, who can do the work, because we have seen in the previous game whereby like the first 11 that you put in 2 games in a row, it doesn't give you what you want, if we can say it like that, because we believe that is not what they wanted in those 2 games before the Stellenbosch. It's not what they wanted. And you see that, I mean, I'm not getting what I want from these players. So now what do I do? And the issue of plan B, you can't have plan B without a system. For you to have a plan B, you must have a system. If you can remember, I mean, the 1-all draw, the game of MTN 8, Kaizer Chiefs and Sundowns, we have seen what Rolando Mokoena did to Mudau before he can score that goal. I mean, he's been told like now. I mean, we're changing everything. They've changed the system, and Mudau couple of times he was found in the box, and guess what? Uh, he got across. He scored a goal, equalizer. That was make them to qualify for final. So I'm a bit more worried now because of what Sundowns is going to do is going to analyze Pirates with the recent games, and they're going to play final together. So I'm very much worried because they know that Pirates can compete with us pound to pound. And now let's look at what, I mean, they've been dealt with. I mean, in the recent games that have played, these 3 games that have played, if they lose the final, MTN 8, is because of the analytic that they're going to use against them in these 3 games that they fail to win the matches.
It's going to be very interesting. I don't think if Rulani wants to play this game well, I don't think he can play open. I think he's gonna have to bring in a sense of defense as well, just to keep Abu Saleh quiet because I feel like their game was too up and down. Agent 007, I'm looking at the time. I'm gonna ask you to please give me a closing statement for tonight. Oh, Agent.
My closing statement. Oh yes. I think for me, um, what did I wanna say? I think I wanted to talk about Pirates. Pirates has a good coach and has good players, good technical players who I think can afford to play. Maybe not a tiki taka, but a kind of a version of it. So I think the go to play would be speed, but they should have a plan B of saying, you know what, guys, we can bring it down. We can have the Tigers that Sundowns have because we have the same technical players. So I think it's a matter of them practicing such kind of strategy. Say what you may about Coach Mlungisi. Teams were starting to figure the diamond out. So he came up with a system. So now you don't know is Sundowns going to come with the chameleon or is going to come up with the diamond. And the diamond and the chameleon are two different systems. The other one is too aggressive. The other one is not aggressive. So it's good to have that blend. And what Saleng should, as my last comment, should be Saleng should what is the word? Should watch Chloe Botlhale, Close Olela. I think he's more technical than Close Olela, but Close Olela was able to be there and do it over and over again, even though he was one-dimensional player. I think he needs to look at him, see how he reinvented himself, see how he played against smaller teams. I think he can learn a lot because Pirates will always have that speedy winger, that running merchant, that bolt, And as my last comment, I think I'm not seeing this as a Sundowns fan. I'm seeing this as a football fan. We need to have a serious conversation about referees in general. We need to improve referees because they're gonna drag the league into disrepute or through the mud, and we need to have VAR as soon as possible. How can we be the second or the best league in Africa but we don't have VAR? The EPL Egyptian one with Egypt has had VAR for the longest of times. So I think we need to improve as South Africa. South has to improve. And Abubakar, you guys, did you see that we didn't benefit against it? It was a penalty, guys. It was a penalty. Stop crying, Leave the crying to Chiefs fans. Those ones, they deserve the pain. I don't care.
Every time. You're doing so well every time. But it's fine. We're going to speak about Sundowns. We're going to have the Sundowns conversation tomorrow. Tomorrow after 12, we're having the Sundowns conversation. Convince, can you give me your closing statements for tonight?
My brother, the only closing statement that I gave, but see, let's try to fix South African football. And us feel like as fans, fixing South African football, it's giving pressure to coaches because I think that's the only way we have. We don't have the final word on the players. We don't have the final words on team. But the only thing that we can do is to give pressure to coaches. If there is a need for a coach to make a change, let's put pressure on the coach so that the coach can make a change. That's number one. Number two, if there is a need for a team to apply a specific system, because allow me to, even though it's not that case, I didn't want to talk about Sundowns and Kaizer Chiefs. But if you check how Sundowns and Chiefs played, you will see what there on that game, Tseki had a strategy. He had a specific system against Sundowns to prove that he has. When he gave himself time and sit and studied Sundowns and see some of the loopholes that Sundowns have, so that he can try something against Sundowns. So that's what we want. If a team doesn't have a system, let's make sure we put pressure on the coach. I think with those objects that they gave him on Peter Mukaba helped. It really assisted us against the game of Sundowns. Look at the game of Sundowns. We lost, but the fans were happy. The fans were very happy. So no, I'm just saying I wanted to talk about the system part because when the coach needs pressure or they need motivation at some point. If strong object is the motivation, let's motivate them. They need motivation. Once we motivate them by doing that, then they will consider us. So parents must try Shem, because they're playing caref and we really need, even though I know they will make noise after getting the star, but we really need the star. We really need the star in South Africa. So, like, they must try by all means. They have a system, they rotate their players, they have plan A and plan B, they have team A and team B, which can sustain them if anyone maybe gets injured or whatever. So that's what I can say for now. And I'm going to be here tomorrow at 12. I want to talk about this thing. I'm here. Bye bye.
I'd just like to say the views expressed by those in the panel are not those of overthinking football and do not represent the views of the show. I just have to say that because we can't encourage violence, guys. Bongi, can you give me a closing statement for tonight, my brother?
I'm with you on that one. Like, we can't condone violence, more especially the behavior of Chiefs fans lately. I mean, in the stadium, like, we don't want to see that. Football is so beautiful. I mean, football is a beautiful game. So we want to see the beautiful game on the pitch, off pitch, on the stands, everywhere. So really, we don't condone that. And also, I mean, uh, as fans, we need to give, I mean, our teams and tactical teams, we need to give them, I mean, a benefit of a doubt and support after all. And we can't be creating some other different aspect than giving our teams, you know, a, the support that they really need from us as fans. As a closing statement, with what has been said since from the beginning of the show, you know, with the Stellenbosch and Steve Barker, you know, Orlando Pirates. I think for Steve Barker as well, without him want to grow, I mean, my biggest question is if himself as a coach doesn't have objectives that wants him to go big in everything. Like, it can be at Stellenbosch. There's nothing wrong for him to stay there for this long, but you must have objectives. What is it that you want to achieve? And it needs to be transparent. It needs to be seen that what is it that you're doing. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, you might not get into the main objectives, but I mean, something has to show that what is it that you are trying to imply. The team as well itself now, I'm asking myself, their objective, because financially, they don't need the money that they're making from the players they're selling. They don't need that money. They are financially stable. So I'm asking, they are only there once to do a business transaction with the players that they produce from development and the players that they nurture. Do they do they don't not have objectives that at least we wanna, I mean, play in the CAF Confederation? At least we start the CAF Confederation, and then we need to compete on number one, maybe in that season to come. Like, they need to build from that. And this thing of every season, they need to sell their best players. I mean, it's a problem into the PSL teams, because if we don't want to only see the dominance of Orlando Pirates, Sundowns, and Chiefs only. Even though yes, Chiefs and Pirates a bit struggling, I mean, to match Sundowns, but anyway, that's another topic for another day. But we want to see teams, you know, playing a competitive football, which any team in the PSL, when we go to the stadium or either we watch on TV, we want to be glued to the TV. I mean, watching football. We want to enjoy football. And if those things are not in place in all the PSL teams, we're not going to enjoy watching football. We're not going to enjoy watching PSL. We're going to only be glued on the TV when we watch EPL, when we watch English, like the Champions League, the English Champions Europe Champions League. So, I mean, those things needs to be there, needs to be implemented. And in the issue of Pirates, And Jose Rivero, he should have, by now, I think he knows that he has to go and play in the CAF Champions League. And by look of things, I don't think he's making the team be ready to go and play in the Champions League. We'll be surprised with a team from Botswana. They might come and get a one not draw or 1-1 draw, or maybe they get beaten 1-0 as well. We'll be surprised of that, because in his uh, press conference after the match that he lost 1-0, what he said is that, but we are going to play them here at home. We're going to play them at home, and we still have a chance. Which means, I mean, you can't rely on results that, it's a probability that I'm going to win. It's not like you definitely going to win. So I think for him, he needs to make the team ready for the Champions League, not only for the next game, which as well I don't see that he's making the team ready for the next game. I mean, in the current game. But anyway, what it's going to be a turnaround at Pirates is not only the coach. I mean, they have to assemble a technical team that will have a specific and identical way of playing as Orlando Pirates, because players, they've got brilliant players to compete with any team in the PSL in Africa, pound to pound. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bongi. Thank you for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me. You know what, Nick, guys, this is what I think, right? And I think we need to have honest conversations about our coaches. Honest conversations about our coaches. Jose Rivero won 2 trophies last year. Incredible, right? But there's a reason why he was 16 points behind Sundowns. The rest of the teams were more than 16 points behind Sundowns, all the way going down the league. And it's situations like this, right? What happens when you don't have a plan B? What happens? And I know it was immaterial in this game, and maybe we shouldn't drill on it in this game, particularly because they've done the job in the first leg. But what happens when you don't have a plan B? You know, I'm hearing the same thing about Jose Rivero that I'm hearing about Mulifin Tseki, that I'm hearing about a ton of other coaches in the league where they don't know what to do. Pirates has now played low block number Ngaki in the games that they've played so far. And Jose Rivero still doesn't have an answer for it. Still plays Abu Saleh. Still plays exactly the same way, even when things are not going right. And especially in his situation, because for all intents and purposes, Pirates is the second best team in the league. It is a bit of a distance to first, but they're the second best team in the league, right? And if they don't have a plan B with all of the quality that they have, with all of the players that they signed, with everybody that they brought in, with the UEFA what license qualified coach, then what's the difference between him and everybody else outside of those few trophies, right? In as much as we always speak badly or criticize Urulani, some of the things I remember Coach Busmuzi was here on the platform last time telling us that, you know what, guys, there are some things that I saw that Sundowns was doing when he was still at Golden Arrows that I hadn't thought of, even down to like warming up and things like that. So if he can't get bench players ready to come in when they need to come in, ready to be there with a plan B, ready to play versus a low block, then what's the difference between him and other coaches? That's maybe the question that I would like to ask. You know, we love to say these are very good coaches. We're saying very good coach to Steve Barker, even though Steve Barker is 13, history of finishing 8th, 9th. Very good coach. We say very good coach about a lot of people. Very good performance, very this. Right now, Chiefs supporters are saying that we need to give Unseki time and he's doing well. But what is the well? So maybe some real questions have to be asked about Jose Rivero. Yes, you can come into the press conference and be a little bit arrogant and things like that, but must peg look. what happens there? Must beg each running those games. So maybe it is time to ask questions, and maybe it's not to ask questions to get rid of him or to ask questions for him to lose his job. No, it's to ask questions to say, okay, my guy, Pirates is meant to be kicking on right now. Pirates is meant to be our best chance as a league of taking on Sundown. But you lose versus Sundown, you're now on a 3-game losing streak. You're seeing that some of the great players, Abo Kapinga, Abos Banban, are coming in and not ready. Should there be more questions asked of these coaches? But anyway, guys, tomorrow we're going to speak about the Sundowns. I want to have this conversation because I feel like there's a lot of very high feelings towards Sundowns and about the Sundowns topic. Like I want us to have the conversation in full and let's be honest with each other. So tomorrow, 12:30, I'm gonna be here. Did Sundowns ruin football? That's basically the topic for tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, normally I do this every Monday to Friday, 12:30 in the afternoon, and then Monday to Wednesday at 8 p.m. If you miss out on any of the shows, they are available on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can watch some other really cool content that I have on there. Join me on TikTok and follow the TikTok account if you want to add your voice to the show. But please do me the favor of following on Facebook, following this TikTok account, subscribing on YouTube. That really helps me out a lot. So much, guys, for joining me. I will see you guys tomorrow, 12:30.